Hello and welcome to Artizán, where we reveal secrets you didn't think you should know. Drum guitars are here. Let's have a listen. Okay, right. Guitar Max is a channel where he's trying out lesser known brands, particularly made in China and in the Far East. Maybe I think Indonesia and South Korea. And I don't know. Let's see. What is happening here is we've got a guitar that bears the signature of Donald J. Trump, American president, former and to be sworn into office once again next year. This caused quite a lot of stir because Gibson stepped up with their legal department and they issued a cease and desist order, which basically in law is just hey, you shouldn't be doing that kind of layman's term notice, I think. Oh, the media thought it's a big thing. It's not. It is. Gibson issues that to anybody who makes single cut solid body that vaguely resembles a Les Paul. They have been doing this for a while because they have been the innovators next to Leo Fender and I think what was that Rickenbacker in 1936. That was the first solid body electric guitar. So neither Fender or Gibson invented the solid body electric guitar, but both have been making, designing and manufacturing fantastic models over the couple of years, like 1959, 1956, 1962, 1969, 68, 70, all of these eras and dates bear fantastic vintage guitars, like a 1959 Les Paul Sunburst is worth quite a lot of money. Now, because there has been an ongoing design situation, Japan in the late 60s started manufacturing copies of Les Pauls, and it lasted until like 74, 75, where Gibson caught wind of this because they've been selling, well, China's been selling counterfeit Gibsons and similar knockoffs into the UK, for example. Let's say there was a ban on American import goods for 10 years in the UK. And that's when Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck got their Gibson Les Pauls because the old models that have not sold were going at a discount price, and they bought it up because it was reduced. The price was reduced. Nobody was buying a Gibson Les Paul from 1959 in 1964, let's just say. Then it caught wind, and by the time the decade was over, the 60s, the Gibson factory had to budge under the pressure, and they discontinued it, or they've changed the form, the shape in 1961 to an SG form. They still called it Les Paul because they had a contract with Les. He promoted it for a couple of years, but they have not written a new contract for that solid body electric guitar. So the Les Paul was discontinued for a while, and then they've reintroduced it in 68, and the company got bought out by Norlin, and that meant the decline of quality. So 70s Gibson guitars aren't that good, and the Japanese import and the Korean import, well, later on in the 90s, South Korea was big. and Indonesia. But in the specifically the 70s and 80s was a Japanese era where they ended up producing Gibson Les Pauls and Fender Stratocasters better than American-made 70s and 80s instruments were. Not the vintage ones. The vintage ones were mostly almost like prototypes, and they've been evolving. But I used to have a 1989 black Fender Stratocaster I bought in Weymouth in England. Obviously not the same price as an American Fender Stratocaster because it was Japanese made, but the sound was absolutely fantastic. If I can find the demo, I'll put it up as an archive onto this channel as well. I've recorded a little jam in 2011, 2012-ish or something. Coming back to this guitar, trump guitar. Possibly this was made in India. Let's just listen a little bit more, and he says a couple of things about that.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and the most talked about guitars for the past couple of months have been without a doubt the Trump guitars. The Trump guitars were launched back in November as the only guitar officially endorsed by Donald Trump. And of course, when the news first broke, everybody went out of their minds. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and almost immediately Trump guitars got into legal trouble with Gibson. Gibson issued a cease and desist letter to Trump guitars claiming that they infringed upon their intellectual property rights. Now, so far, nothing seems to have really come from the legal kerfluffle with Gibson. Trump guitars changed a few things on their website, but not much else has happened. But now we are at the point where the people that ordered the guitars when they were first launched have received the guitars, and fortunately, one of those early buyers has been generous enough to loan me this guitar right here. This is not only one of the American Eagle Trump guitars, but as you can see, this is one of the ones that was autographed by Donald Trump. This guitar sells for $11,500 because it's autographed. Now,
because of the autograph. So I think the manufacturing would, for this guitar would have been a fraction of that cost. Let me just get into you guys. I'll leave a link to this video down in the comments, and let's get into the cavity, because we found something interesting. The humbucker has a J on it, a single J, nothing else. So I'm not sure what's impressed in there, but it's possibly made in either China or India as well. But let me just see.
There's a couple things in here that are pretty interesting. Here's the back control cavity. Now, one thing there is that there's no shielding on the inside of the control cavity.
The potentiometer, the port he looked up, was apparently an Indian-made company. Excuse me.
So to me, that's a giveaway that...
I mean, the company makes these mini potentiometers in India.
It's not a very expensive guitar, or not a very high-quality guitar in terms of the manufacturing. At the very least, there should be some kind of like paint-on shielding or something like that. And there's really nothing at all inside the control cavity there to keep out unwanted interference and so forth. The other thing is take a close look at these pots, the potentiometers inside there. This is the volume and control pots, right? These are mini pots, so these are very small ones. And then there is a brand stamp on the back of these pots. Now, I looked this up, and these are made by a company called Ivalect, which is an Indian company.
Now he cannot be sure that the full guitar is made in India, but yeah, he's going through the guitar here. Well, let me just talk about the situation quickly of what I've gathered. Okay, Chinese counterfeit Gibson Les Pauls have Les Pauls and ES355s, 345s, 335s, Explorers, and all of the brands, Fender Stratocasters, Telecasters, and other, maybe Gretsch as well, have been manufactured in China. And some clever companies actually moved their manufacturing over, like Gibson, for example. Gibson used to have their Epiphone brand manufactured in Indonesia. I've got until very recently. They had for a few years. This is this is an Epiphone. This is an Epiphone Sheraton 2 from 2017, and this was manufactured in Indonesia in a ceramic factory. Just see. Yes. I think. Let me just see. It says Sheraton 2 Pro NA Natural. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty certain this was made in Indonesia, not Korea, but the build quality is absolutely fantastic. I've been really happy with this guitar, and yeah, it's an honest approach. Epiphone has been bought out by Gibson in the 60s, in the early 60s. By that time, the solid and semi-solid hollow body constructions have been popular, and Epiphone was manufacturing things like that. And at one point or the other, Epiphone's operations have been merged with the Gibson factory. I think they were next to each other, but have to look it up. I'll do an episode on that later. And that means this kind of looks like an ES335. Even has the lovely Mickey Mouse ears, Mickey Mouse-esque ears. The reason why for the Mickey Mouse ears, it was only in production for a couple of years, and Gibson changed the shape again. The shape, the laminated shape of this that was pressed, was constantly changing. But with this one, the Sheratons have been manufactured by Gibson under the Epiphone logo as well, but they have used Gibson body and Epiphone necks. They had a few Epiphone necks left over from the factory. So what they've done is they've merged the Epiphone necks with the ES335, and the Sheraton was born. And the Sheraton 2 is a reissue of that. But the original Sheraton was half Gibson ES335 and half Epiphone necks. This has a lovely neck, and Epiphone is a Greek brand, a Greek-American brand. And I've never been a fan of famous shapes with a different name. So the Epiphone Les Pauls and the Epiphone SGs with the headstock that had not a pointy, and like let me just see, the Trump guitars headstock looks like this. Plain and simple, 45, absolutely fantastic. This is not a lawsuit shape. If this was going in like these Gibsons, you can see the headstock there. This would be a lawsuit. And yeah, these counterfeits have been going. I mean, there's the thing is, over the years, both the original company has changed the looks of things. Some guitars are screen printed with the logo, some have an inlay. So it's interesting, like, you know, once you know the instruments and the year of manufacture, you could probably find out what is a counterfeit and what is not. But going back to the Indian situation, what I think happened with the Trump guitars is Donald Trump is an influential world leader, has been and will be. So I think over the years, whilst he was sitting out and Joe Biden was president, because he's a businessman, he was approached on a country level by a few people already. And I think what was happening, somebody approached him, hey, do you want to maybe get guitars manufactured into the US? Because we can see that, China manufactures and ships everything over, and then they're making trade, right? And India wants a slice of that. So why don't we just cut a deal where we make you Trump guitars, okay? They cannot be sued because there's differences, minor differences, the shape, the humbucker positions, and the switch volume tone knob positions are quite similar. It's a single cut, but we'll make changes so the body does not resemble the actual Les Paul guitar, and we don't leave references. We just put generic stuff together and let us manufacture maybe 500, 1,000, or I don't know what the I couldn't look it up. There was no time. But X amount, we'll manufacture X amount for you at a discounted price as a demo for you. Do whatever you like with it. We'll go manufacture it, ship it to you. Once you have it, start advertising it, and see how that goes. What's the feedback? We're happy to take constructive feedback as a company in India building this. Take the offer, and I think he took the offer, and they've made the guitars. He signs them. It's his asset. It's a demo to kind of build relationships between the countries, India and the US. But I would not be surprised if you guys in the US will receive a lot of Indian-made instruments, fine instruments, in the next 10 years, the next decade. So I remember there was a Mustang Stratocaster that I have seen from India. It was manufactured in India, and it was absolutely horrible to play. And it wasn't because of the fact that it was made in India. It was already beaten, but it wasn't made out of the highest quality instruments. So everything has a price point. But if you have it manufactured in a place where like there's some sophisticated Chinese factories, and they do learn, and there's a couple of gimmicks and tricks that you can utilize when you make solid body electric guitars, whether it's screw joint, bolt-on necks, and or glued in Morrison tenon joint of an iteration, because there's short, long neck tenons on guitars. In Gibson, for example, the long neck tenon guitars are a bit more loved than the short neck tenon ones. You would know that's like a preference that I can't really comment on, because for me, from a structural point of view, it's it could make a difference, but I have not seen many Gibson guitars breaking by the heel neck connection. It's usually the headstock that cracks. But once again, what do you want to do? Do you want to buy genuine Gibsons, or do you want to get a fake? There's another video. Let's listen to it. Counterfeit guitars. They talked about like what is happening if you end up buying a Gibson that is not a Gibson, as a Chipson. And how are you gonna live with yourself? Let me just see. That's the question here.
Sanding off the head and donating it to a school.
It's just the question is like, what if you have it and then you if you don't want to keep it because it's a counterfeit? What if you just donate it away?
That schools do want guitars, but again, if it's something you already have, sure. But I wouldn't go out and say, I'm going to go buy me a Chibson sand off the Gibson logo and then donate it to, ES301.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. I mean, this is a hidden Harley Benton commercial. Harley Benton has been manufacturing Chinese guitars that are not. They've got a modest amount of differences between a Gibson Les Paul and their brand, or a Fender Stratocaster and their brand. So it kind of looks the same, but there are things like Stratocasters made by Paul Reed Smith, for example. It looks like a Stratocaster, but the dimensions are different. Here, it's funny because Guitar Max took this one literally. Okay, well, what if what if I just sent this down? Let me just see. I just want to subscribe to him, and let's just watch this because this is absolutely horrible. I really don't like this at all.
Do this at home unless you're a professional like I am. But more importantly, if you do something like this, make sure you are using the necessary safety gear, like safety glasses and ear protection, because these are really loud and everything. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. Okay, now let's grind this sucker off here.
So that's a Chinese Gibson. He's making a bad job. I think it's intentional. He's making a bad job in taking the thing out. I think there's a lot of anger there. A lot of repressed anger.
Okay, so that honestly, I mean, it accomplished my goal. The headstock logo is completely gone. I did nick one of these tuners though, and I took off a couple of the strings here. Actually, the D string tuner seems pretty screwed up. Actually, no, it still works. Anyway, guys, there we go. One down, one to go. Chibson no more. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this still says Les Paul on it in the script and everything.
Well, it's let me just put a pun in there. It's a Les Paul. Ha ha!
That's got to be copyrighted, right? Okay, let's take off the Les Paul logo.
Oh yeah, he's taking even lesser Pauls. Oh no! Oh, you're gonna destroy everything. Don't hurt yourself, man, please.
Okay, so I think we have accomplished our goal here. Nobody would look at this and think, "Oh wow, that's a authentic Gibson,"
this is modern
right?
art,
because
man.
Nobody in their right mind would do this to a real Gibson. Okay, so that one is done now. I don't know. I'll give that away, or I'll go over in the middle of the night to Norm's Rare Guitars and just leave it on the sidewalk. Now
that was a good one.
This is actually a really nice guitar, but it's got to go. And this one here, like I mentioned earlier, it says Fender, made in the USA on the front, and then it's got a serial number on the back. So I'm going to grind off both the Fender logo, the Made in USA, and the serial number on the back.
Yeah, I don't want to torture you with this. The video is getting quite long now, so I'm just going to wrap it up with my thoughts on this. Okay, so what if you bought a Gibson that is not a Gibson but it's a Chibson? What would you do? Never if you ever want to sell it, if you paid money for it, that's your loss. But if you want to resell it, always state that it's not an original Gibson Les Paul. I would say I wouldn't go into scratching everything off. If I have to deface an instrument that was like this, where another company's brand, without that company's involvement, was used on a product, I would just paint over it, but state that it has been painted over because of this specific reason. So, and it is sold at a discount price of whatever is the current Harley Benton, let's just say Harley Benton price. Sorry guys, made a mistake, bought this Gibson thing. put a tape over it or paint over it. Maybe somebody wants to professionally take the logo out, and what they do is they send it off and preserve the headstock. What he's doing is just for show. Nobody's this stupid to do anything, but he's not a luthier, so I mean, it's like, but he wants to be as theatrical as possible. I think he's done a great job. I mean, I didn't think much of him because the zeitgeist of, oh yeah, everything American is the best, but he's lining up a lot of stuff that have been made by new venturers of the music trade, and in the Far East as well. There's some good quality coming out. There's some trash quality coming out. But as the years go by, they learn from their own mistakes. Like Japanese guitars in the 70s are not comparable with a Japanese guitar 10 years down the line. Like a 1976 Ibanez and the 1986 Greco will see a huge difference. There was in the 70s the Ibanez, and my very first guitar was an Avon Rose Morris Les Paul. That's similar to that black guitar here. This one, the Gibson Les Paul Classic, and that was the first electric guitar I had. I think it was manufactured probably in 1976-77. He had laminate body, like the whole body was laminate. So somebody must have read it somewhere, like, oh yeah, it's a laminate body, Gibson Les Paul. It's a lamination of the mahogany back and the maple top. And no, it's not the way. It's just one or two pieces of mahogany or three pieces of mahogany on the back, and usually two pieces of the other wood on the top. And yeah, but once again, you have to you have an instrument, you will have to set it up correctly, and it has to talk to you. And with nowadays the online ordering thing, it's getting harder and harder and harder for you to get a guitar and try it first before you buy it. You probably just order it and then you send it back, and order it again, send it back. Once again, that has its end, because I mean, you'll be probably blacklisted if you order like tens of guitars, 10, 20 guitars, and you send all of it back. You'd probably get that. But nevertheless, this wow. I'll wrap it up with this one. If I can actually move these guitars out here. Let me just see if I can rip you out. Oh, love it. Yeah, that's it. Get stuck in a... This is when you don't have space. Okay. Right. This is a Gibson Les Paul. It says standard on it. But this is my trusty 1992 Les Paul Classic. It's a Gibson Les Paul Classic. I have it had flaking on the finish, but I've done everything to this poor guitar. It has Variax electronics, a piezo bridge, different bridge. I mean, only the body remained. I mean, I've got Grover tuners here, the tulip ones. But this is an original Gibson Les Paul. And where was I going? Where was I going with this one? When I got it, this was set up like trash, and I did not know anything about it, because I was firstly a guitarist, and secondary I was something that you could probably call a luthier later on, but I was just I had to I wanted to do my own setups, and I wanted to know how you set your own guitar up, because once you're in a tundra, you have to change your string. Like, you know, you don't, like, I wasn't born music royalty, and I'm not one now. But this guitar, I've changed everything on it. I've taken the ABR one out. I've got this Chinese. I mean, this, like, if I give this to a person, like, hey, is this a fake Gibson or a real Gibson? They would say, oh, it's bloody fake. I can tell you why. The bridge. Look at the bridge. Yeah. Okay, but what if I tell you I didn't want to spend $500 on an ABR1 style piezo bridge, and what if I just took out the ABR1, drilled holes in it, put the posts in, because I don't give a... What I do with my guitars, I always take them apart and put them back together again the way I like it. And here we go. So this could be, I mean, I will not be able to sell this guitar at its original price, because I've modified so many things on it. It's worth a lot to me, but not to somebody who wants a pristine 1992 Gibson Les Paul Classic. And those, I mean, Trogley was on about the Gibson Les Paul Classic. But yeah, I make a video of this one. But yeah, that's my Franco Steiner Les Paul caster. Everything works. And I've done the frets on this as well. I was sitting in the garden in Chiswick in 2011, and I was refretting this monster. I wore off the original, and I ordered some Chinese stainless steel frets from China through eBay, and it landed on Silver Crescent Road in my postbox in Chiswick, and I put them on, and I made it work. Have not tuned this up for a long time, and it holds tuning. It's a beautiful instrument. I will never sell this thing, but if I give this to you, you would probably say it's a Gibson because of the posts here, and it has no fret nips because I've refretted the instrument. I'll tell you something, the reason why I took this out is to show you this other guitar. They've been collecting dust for a while. This guitar is a Wesley. This is a very rare Wesley Eclipse guitar. A beautiful Wesley Eclipse guitar. Why you haven't heard about the brand name? Mr. Wesley was one of the first pioneers in the UK. He's a luthier. He placed an order for some of these cheap guitars, like it's happening with Harley Benton now. Chinese factories made these. This is a Chinese guitar. I bought it second-hand, 80 quid off eBay once again. It was in 2011, same time. But this arrived. I've changed the bridge. I've changed the electronics, but I kept the pickups. I only made them splittable, so I can split these pickups. I took off everything, and I've resoldered it to be a 4-way, not a 2-way cable. I recorded my first album, Women of Mars, with this. And it's a multi-piece mahogany back, I think. And the front as well. I think the front, look, I mean, now that I look at it, it has good figuring on. Maybe I should be taking it. Maybe I should refinish this. But the binding is like it's not expensive. The binding is just scrape-off binding. It's not. There's no fancy plastic bindings in it. But this guitar, when I first played it, and after I've made the alterations as well, it has such a fantastic tone that I absolutely loved it. It had hot ceramic pickups instead of the vintage Pro Bucker Alnico 5 or Alnico 4 type of pickups. This has ceramic pickups, but I think the ceramic is really strong, so you'll get a 16, 17K reading. A normal humbucker in a Jimmy Page Gibson Les Paul would probably go up to 8, not 16, 17. So almost double the power with the ceramic magnets instead of the Alnico. Well, what happens is that also has, I mean, if you don't wind the pickups too much, it has a weaker sound. But if the magnetic field is bigger, it can bring you a sound that is great in the ceramic humbucker world as well. So most of the times these ceramic humbuckers are too strong, and they just muffle and muddle the sound, and there's no clear notes. Not with this one. This is absolutely perfect. My favorite setting in this one is I split the bridge into a single coil, and I just click on the neck. So I've got two pickups here working in tandem with each other. This is a humbucker ceramic, and this is a single coil ceramic. And this is also, or maybe no, this doesn't have the switch. Let me just see. I'm not gonna play it now because I'm gonna have to tune this up, but okay. And that's where I realized it's not in who manufactures this. It's really down to what your preference is as a guitarist, and what music you have in your mind, and what level of guitar playing you want to project. Like I could have gone down the path of just practicing 16 hours a day. I've been practicing a lot for like 5 years, don't get me wrong, but practicing to be like this, the super turbo playing Shawty Wawa William notes a second. I think real music is not coming from. I consider myself a songwriter. Just been watching a Noel Gallagher Gibson TV interview. Fantastic. The way he describes it is right on point. He started writing his own songs because he couldn't really play the other people's songs. So any kind of up and coming musician, if you feel that you can write, not just play, try to aim to become a writer instead of just a player. Because if you just become one musician in a band that does weddings and functions and a cover band, if you don't have any ambitions, and you're happy to kind of play those cover songs and have a good time, you are then have found your way to be happy. Anybody who wants to write and they think in their heart of hearts they can write, aim to be a writer. And Noel Gallagher just said that because he wasn't that good of a guitarist, he was always interested in songwriters who also happened to play guitar. Johnny Marr and the likes, Steve Jones. Fantastic. Please watch that as well, guys. I'll talk about that in detail as well. But to put an end to the debate, you have a Gibson that's not made in the USA and it's a fake. If you paid too much money for it, unfortunately you're going to have to live with that. 2, get good at making sure that you can check for spots. There's plenty of videos out there about Gibsons. So if you want to buy an original Gibson, always check if it's fake or not. 3rd, my Gibson Les Paul Classic standard example, so many things have changed on the guitar. It's not an original Gibson anymore. It has the original headstock. Nothing else is original. The wood, and the binding, and the inlays. The wood, the binding, and the inlays are original. The rest is changed. I mean, it's actually worse than a Gibson now. Fourth, close your eyes and play the guitar. I have played Samick guitars in the 90s that sounded better than a Gibson Les Paul. And fifth good advice would be try to learn setup tricks for yourself and get to a decent level as a musician in how you do these things. If you can't set up your own guitar, you will be by derivation crappier musician because you can't play well. I remember that Avon Les Paul I had the screw-in neck, and it had a piece of plastic right here in the neck pocket, and I took it apart at the age of 15. I put it together again without that piece of plastic because I thought, oh yeah, well, these two joints have to kind of be like sealed together, like you're gonna have to really screw it down. The problem was that the neck angles changed, so I had a huge fret height at the end, and I had to sell that guitar because I was stupid. I loved that guitar, but it was too high. I couldn't learn how to play lead guitar on it, and I got a Hohner Rockwood after that, and I really didn't like that guitar, but it was more adjustable, and it wasn't buzzing, and you could have the action down, yeah. So no matter what guitar you have, unfortunately there's like this corporation thing playing into it. I don't think Trump had the idea to have a guitar. It's just they wanted a factory in India to have it manufactured for them, to see, okay, from order placement to manufacturing, throughout shipping and receiving, and how would this whole thing work, and is it feasible, are we making a profit out of it, what do people think about it? And this is like, one of my videos is that this is the video, like, what do you think about Trump guitars? Hey, right on, man. I mean, Orville Gibson was less famous than Donald Trump. Orville Gibson, the founder of Gibson, is less famous than Donald Trump. I mean, I don't think it's his ambition, but hey, you've got a branding, Donald J. Trump. It's a very, very solid brand. No matter what you think and how brainwashed you are either way of the political spectrum to either hate him or love him, he's recognized. And it's just one of the keys. Like, you don't aim to be a nice person, aim to be fitting in with societal norms and everything, but if you can't be genuine, you will never be a self-actualized person. This guy is a self-actualized person. Think whatever you want of him, but he kind of made himself. He's a brand. He is a brand. I mean, he loves being a brand. I mean, I always hide behind names like Artizán. I don't like Andrew J. Shepherd to become a brand. Don't. I'm not even sure if I ever want to consider being a politician. Because the reputation of being a politician is so bad now that I don't think it's worth it. But I tell you something, the Trump guitar does not symbolize cheapo guitar making from the Far East, does not symbolize Trump and his name as an individual. He symbolizes the victory that he just achieved on this last election day. And these guitars are one of a kind set of instruments at the right place at the right time, carefully positioned there to be memorabilia, have one, buy one. If you can get it, buy it. Buy it, because it's just one of those things like stamps, you know. Once it gets discontinued, you know, it's going to be a rarity. So buy the trump guitars, you know. Try to find places that sell them to you. Good luck. I mean, if I can find a trump guitar or where to order one, I will put it down in the comment section. Maybe later on, not now. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, yeah, don't think about gear too much. Buy the gear so you don't spend it on drugs and tattoos like I did. But find the instrument that makes you play. That's your only mission is find one instrument that makes you play. All of these instruments make me play. But a different type of vibe. So the reason why I experimented with the Variax guitars and the Variax electronics transplant into a guitar that I like is because I wanted to stop buying more guitars, because you don't really need more guitars than 20, 25. Just joking. If push comes to shove, I would have to hold on to one guitar now. I would just go with my original Gibson Les Paul there. That's like, you know, if I could save one from the fire, and it's like probably less value Les Paul that you can get, because I've done more working hours on it than the factory. Originally in 1992, so that's sentimental to me, you know. I'm a strong personality, so I can handle loss. So if this gets burnt, fine, you know. I'm not that attached. The magic used to be in that guitar. In 2003, when I opened the case, I bought this from a German music shop, and he went to Austria in Hohenems, where I lived. I opened this guitar case, and the Holy Grail just lit up my face. And over the years, and as I was dragging it through London, UK, and Hungary, from Austria, throughout everywhere, the magic just kind of got integrated into my bones. Like it's just a slow process. It's like layers in the crust of the earth. Like, you know, it all compacts into, you become the instrument, or you become the message that you thought the instrument is projecting at you, because you can now pick up whatever guitar and be great at it. Even the most shittiest guitar, you can take something out of it. Know a trick like you detune, because it's unplayable. You detune it and do something like a sitar solo on it or whatever. It has to be down to you. It's a good gateway drug. If your favorite teenage musician plays a Gibson Les Paul and ooh, wow, yeah, Slash, like in my case, wow, Slash. His original Gibson Les Paul was a copy, a Gibson Les Paul copy, 59 copy. So there's no truth anywhere. It's good to have a good brand to build upon, and to show off as like, yeah, I've got a Gibson, yeah. But if you just want to play, you know, get a luthier to make one for you if you know what you want. Encounters of the Third Kind, I think. This was a Steven Spielberg movie from the 80s. Okay, guys. Have a nice day. Yeah, get a trump guitar. It's good. or a Harley Benton.